just outright say, I think he signs with the Red Sox.
I feel better that it's not my. I feel better that it's not my fault now.
The one time it's not me. Yay.
Okay, boom. Bonus Section 10 pod with Sean McAdam, Chris Cotillo, Mass Live, and the Fenway Rundown. Gentlemen, welcome. This is actually Sean's first time on the podcast ever, which I think is crazy to me.
And I've been honestly, waiting for the call, Jared. I don't know what took so long.
It's only been 10 years.
So we told the story in 2018. It was like kind of like I don't even know what the segment was, but it was just like firing off phone calls of every Red Sox reporter. I called you didn't pick up. Bradford, I think, picked up, and it was like, obviously this guy, like Drellick, back when he was normal, he picked up. Ian Brown,
I don't know if there ever was one of those times, but yeah. Well, this is the first official time. This might be the first official time that you've been on the podcast that wasn't just an impromptu phone call. And it's probably going to be the first time I'm not hung up on after like 30 seconds. So
I'd say that's what he was going with. The first time I'm not hung over when he started.
Yeah, well, both. It's both. So I think
let's get this on the table as Chris is stopping people on the street to tell them this. It's a dry off season. Okay.
Dry off season.
Yeah. Is it really?
I've only heard this about 72 times in the last week. It's like a reformed smoker. They can't wait to tell you how long they've quit and how hard it was and why don't you quit and all that. You know,
that's what I'm dealing with right now with Dallas Braden. He quit smoking like last week. And we get like minute to minute updates, like still haven't smoked.
Hey, look, good for people who do it, but we don't need to know every step along the way.
The weight is falling off the bone.
Yeah, I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you. It's a great try. I'm gonna be hammered tomorrow night. I'm having my Christmas party that Steve is not coming to. Yeah. He did say that he was coming and he was gonna bring his brother Dan, the Peralta of the Year. Mm-hmm. And then on the episode this week, he informed me that he's not coming because he wants to hang out with his dad, who he sees like every day. Like,
see him all the time. Yeah. No, it was more that I forgot that we had gotten him, like his birthday gift is on Saturday, basically. We're fulfilling the birthday
When's his birthday?
It's definitely not Saturday. It's October 1st.
When's his birthday though, Steve? Like what month is it in?
October 1st.
October. Yeah. Okay. Yep. All right. Yeah. So
close enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's cool. Mm-hmm. It's basically a couple months. It's all good, but we keep it moving.
Steve, is your brother's career still like tenfold more successful than yours? Is that still the case?
Well, I mean, Jared would be the first one to tell you. Yeah. No, I mean, Jared obviously leads the charge for Dan, but I could cure cancer at this point. I don't think it would really matter. So that's kind of what it feels like.
I think that would help. I don't think that you'd be better than Dan, but I do think it would move the needle a little bit. But yeah, Dan, there's big plans coming for Dan next year. I can't
it's
reveal
very
them.
unfortunate. I'll tell you, Cotillo and McAdam, it's unfortunate because I feel like I had a good year, but Dan keeps ending up on Netflix. And so like it's hard to top that. And he like writes and acts and directs, and so it's like trying to get ahead of that. It's just really tricky, especially being on this show. It's like we got 4 people on this show. How are you supposed
Cotillo, what's it like to work with someone who's on Netflix when you're not?
That's a great question. Yeah,
that's true.
Because technically we were on Netflix. Our voices were in there, and Jared was for like 3 seconds. So
Sean narrated the whole thing. People forget.
He really did, and my God, that experience, they hit us up so many times to be like,
terrible.
Hey, we'd love to come film a podcast. And then we'd be like, all right, cool. How about Thursday at 8? Great, we'll be there. And hey, well, we'd love to, we need you guys to film the podcast, right? It'll be awesome. Let's do it on Wednesday at 6. Cool, we'll be there. Nope. They canceled on us like 50 times.
Yeah.
And then they interviewed me at Fenway for 2 hours, and the only part they used was me being like, Duran, you fucking idiot.
You're a moron, Duran. Yeah.
That was the only part that they used. So he was like, oh, thanks for calling me a fucking idiot on Netflix. I'm like, dude, I was like, I blew you for 20 minutes, and that's the only part that they used.
Cutting room floor.
Yeah. I was furious about the Netflix experience, but
I told
I was
them
glad that you got the you got the narration spot. That was amazing.
Yeah. They told me, I told them that Nick Pivetta had me blocked on Twitter, and they were like, "Can you talk about that on camera?" I was like, "I would love to." Didn't make it. So
didn't make it.
Too bad.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, they left all the good shit out.
It's very, very rare that I feel bad for Jared, but that was one moment where it's like, and the camera angle was great, the lighting was great, and it's for him to be like, Jarren Duran's a moron, and I think he stinks. And that's what they ran with. But McAdam, you were great, per usual. So you get the lead there.
It was fun. It was shocking to see, frankly, how much they used of me. But I also sat with them for like 6 different occasions, so I figure they had to use some of it.
There you go.
Yeah, I did a whole I cut a WWE promo against the demons and like a pro mental health thing, and just hyped up Jarren Duran and talked about his struggle and everything he's been through and everything he's overcome.
What do they use?
You fucking idiot, Jarren, you dumb son of a bitch. That was it. That was it.
Good TV.
Good people at Netflix. Good people.
Oh, man.
Anyway.
Yeah, what an experience. What an experience this offseason has been so far, gentlemen, as we approach Christmas in just a week, less than a week. It's a week from yesterday. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, a week from yesterday, Christmas time. Sean, I want to start with you because, I remember the Pro Joe days, going all the way back. You're a veteran of the game, and the off season. I remember the Boris. It was always the Boris guys would sign so late. They would sign around Christmas. That was the marker. You'd have all the other lesser than free agents sign in November and early December. And then it's like, yeah, Scott Boris, he'll have his clients wait until Christmas. And now we get into Christmas and it's almost like we're at the halfway marker. We'll see if they're going to get a job before they show up to spring training.
Chris and I were just I was just, imparting some of my senior citizen wisdom and hard-won experience and saying that it used to be from Christmas Eve to New Year's Day, you could be in Tahiti and not miss anything because offices got closed and there was kind of this gentleman's agreement that nothing was going to get done in that 7 and 8 day period. You can't say that anymore. And you used to be able to say that by early January, 90% of the guys were gone. And now if we're lucky, we're going to get to half of the top 50 free agents being signed before Christmas. It's a completely, and I don't understand why it's become this. I've talked to a lot of people in the game about it. There's a theory that because baseball is the only one of the major 4 that does not have a salary cap, that is a big factor here, that it's kind of that in the other 3 sports, there's that game of musical chairs. If we don't get somebody right away, we're going to lose them. And you guys know how it is in the NFL, the NBA, the NHL. First day, 80% of the guys are off the board. It's done. Sometimes within minutes or hours of the signing period beginning. And baseball has gotten itself into a situation where guys are signing, as Bregman did last year, even if that's kind of the exception, signing in mid-February after the team had reported to spring training. I don't know. I don't know what can be done to correct it, but baseball is losing. I used to say, thankfully, the games are faster now after all the rules and pitch clocks and all that. But I used to say baseball's got 2 pace problems. One's on the field and the other's off the field in the winter, where it takes forever. And you squander the PR possibilities and the benefits of that all those other sports have for a few days when free agency begins. It's always July 1st in the NHL. The NBA is kind of around that same time. The NFL's obviously earlier in the spring. But they get this big bump because there's an avalanche of signings and everyone's talking about the game. And meanwhile, I'm sure you guys all get people coming up to you. Why haven't so-and-so done anything? Why hasn't this player signed? And we're coming on the new year and it's still the same.
Well, why haven't they done anything? The Red Sox still, as of this recording, haven't signed a free agent, just them in the Rockies. So I get that it's slow. And the explanation as to why it makes perfect sense to me. But are you a little, I guess, concerned or alarmed that they haven't signed any, not even fringe, we're not even talking bullpen guys or, your 4th outfielder types. They haven't even done that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to say that it's because they're focused on trying to get one or two hitters, which they identified as a big need. And it's obvious to anyone who watches them that they need some offensive upgrades. They haven't been able to do that, or they've been unwilling to do it, might be more accurate. And so maybe they're waiting for the market to come back to them. Maybe they're waiting for some guys to get desperate after the first of the year. I don't know. I mean, they were pretty aggressive on the trade front. The Sonny Gray trade was one of the first deals that got made. I thought that was, a good trade. And I think the Oviedo trade will work out okay too, but they are leaving a big portion of their roster construction until seemingly after the first of the year. And there's a risk to doing that.
What are both of you hearing about how tightly the ship is run as far as Breslow goes? Because I find it very interesting that there are people within the Red Sox organization that you would think are in the know on certain moves that find out about, for example, the Sonny Gray trade when we found out about it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like that to me is... I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Does that mean just like you have your people, you only consult their opinions and you're like, there's not too many cooks in the kitchen? Or is it like, is the chain of command broken? What have you guys heard as far as the communication, or is it a good thing or a bad thing that there's no buzz about the Red Sox moves? They just happen.
It is a small circle of people in the inner circle. There's not this is not a room full of a dozen or 15 advisors. I think there are fewer than a handful of guys sort of in on what Breslow's plans are. I think it's important, he thinks, to keep that information in-house. I happen to think that's a little naive. We all know that agents talk, that other rival teams we've had trade discussions with are going to share that information with others. Word gets out, and the thinking that if you tell your own guys, hey, shut up, we don't want any of this stuff out there, is probably wishful thinking on their part. I don't know that it affects what they do one way or the other, but there is a clampdown, and they do maintain a pretty good cone of silence internally in terms of telegraphing what they're up to. And there are only a handful of guys who are, in the know as to what they're trying to do and what's under consideration.
And I was going to say, and of course, I just didn't hear what Sean had to say, so it's probably the same thing.
Yeah.
They've gotten rid of a lot of senior people or kind of really minimized their roles the last couple of years. There's a lot of title changes on the staff directory and things like that kind of flew under the radar, and I think some that they're not even really copping to. So Breslow's trying to make the front office kind of, his group. Not necessarily at the level Taboni's doing in Washington. We're just hiring all these new young 30-year-olds, but it's definitely part of that. And, he works in the shadows a little bit, but at the same time, it's like, it's tough to tell who really is in the inner circle sometimes and who's not.
How great of a loss do you think Taboni is?
I mean, they wanted to make him the GM, very clearly.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, he was he was certainly regarded as a very bright, young, up and coming guy. I think they I think they look at the GM title, frankly, as kind of just procedural. That it's not important for them to fill it. And the evidence is that he's been on the job for almost 2.5 years and hasn't filled it yet. So I think it's kind of largely ceremonial, but they thought, and you guys know, this is like, you hear a bracket creep. This is title creep, right? Where you give somebody a title so that wards off any raids or people trying to hire them away. I think that was kind of the goal with Paul, to give him a GM title so that you would have to make him president of baseball operations to be able to hire him away. And ultimately, that's what the Nationals did. So maybe it wouldn't have made any difference. But I was told, now that the guy they wanted to really protect is gone, that it's not all that important to have a guy with the title of GM, and there may not be one.
I know there's been constant talk, obviously, about adding the power bat and Schwarber Alonso off the table. We see if Bregman's going to come back. I still think with the rotation, do you guys think that there's still a genuine need for that number 2 guy? Because the more we've talked about the need for, Bop in the lineup, I think people have kind of shifted off of that rotation. And when Sonny Gray came here, it's like, okay, that's fine. It didn't really get me too excited. I think most of that conversation was like, oh, can he be a number 2? Do they think he's a number 2? That's terrible. If you have to ask the question, I don't think he's a number 2 starter. How do you guys view the rotation? And do you get the sense they're still looking for that legitimate, oh, they got the number 2 guy?
I mean, I think they think he is that, and I think they think Oviedo has the ceiling to be in that range, and Bello still has room to grow. So I think that they figure they can find the number 2 at home type of thing, and it'll come from that group, if not early or Tolley or whatever. I don't see them spending big for a free agent starter, even though there's a lot of them available, from the Valdez of the world to Suarez to Gallen to all these guys. And I think in a trade, if you're going to go that route, you have to prioritize bats, even if you are moving one of those outfielders. Like everybody thinks if you trade Jaron, you have to go get a pitcher. There's a way where you can get, a big bat in one of those moves too. So the one thing is Breslow is pitching obsessed. He's obsessed with tweaking. He's obsessed with bringing these guys in, making weird trades like Paralis the other day. And so I texted somebody the other day at the Sox and was like, do you think you guys are good with the rotation? And they said he has vowed to us he will never stop looking for especially starting pitching. So there's always that wild card. But, when they have these other needs, is it a priority to go out and get the number 2? Probably not. But, I didn't think they'd go get another back-end guy in Oviedo either.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they are reportedly asking for Cole Reagans in exchange for Duran and the Royals don't want to do that suggests that, as Chris said, you can never have enough, and he is always obsessed with deepening the rotation. The one thing that I think is a little strange about what they've done, you can like Oviedo and say there's a lot there that they can work with, and they can get him better and get him in the pitching lab and up the velo and all those things. He's a big, we've seen now that they really covet these big frame mound moose guys with big extension, so that fits that type that they're after. But one of the things they said at the start of the offseason is, well, we're not gonna add starting pitching depth. And to me, Oviedo's more depth. I think right now you'd look at him as the number 4, right? You'd slot him behind Crochet, Gray, and Bello, and he's your number 4. It's strange that they have done so much to try to get that pitching pipeline flowing, and you've got Early and Tolley and some other guys on the way, and until recently Paralis, and yet they're kind of clogging the lane here and blocking their access to the rotation by signing more veteran back-end guys or acquiring back-end guys with some major league experience like Oviedo, who could end up pushing both Tolley and Early out of the rotation. So I think what Chris said is right. They're always looking to try to get more pitching. It may not be the chief thing that they're searching for. I think they are focused mostly on getting a bat or bringing back Bregman, but they never walk away from opportunities to acquire more pitching. And if there's somebody as good as Cole Reagans they could bring in, they'll do it. They probably should, but Breslow is he is the walking embodiment of you can never have too much starting pitching.
What do you think his reputation is right now in the league from other teams? How is he viewed?
Breslow?
Yeah.
Maybe somewhat difficult to deal with as a trade partner, as a guy maybe who feels like he has to win every single trade. And I think, you get a veteran guy like Dave Dombrowski. Pardon me?
Is that not how Heim was viewed at the end?
Yeah, and I think Heim had the same reputation right from the beginning, that he was. I would say the difference is that one of the marks against Heim reputationally was that he wasn't decisive, and I don't think that's the case with Breslow. I think he's more proactive and he's more willing to pull the trigger, but I also think he sometimes might not always be realistic in terms of his ask. And look, that's part of the job. You want to you want to give up less than you bring in. But I think you can also listen to people like Dave Dombrowski, who readily acknowledges that a good trade is something that both teams walk away happy from and get what they want out of it. You don't have to necessarily bludgeon the other team to want to make a trade. And I think sometimes the reputation Breslow has is that, he's got to come out on top, and it's not about an even swap.
And Heim was like this at the beginning too, but just the way Brez talks, like with the buzzwords and the kind of, equivocating everything. And, my favorite was like I tweeted that quote he texted about Bennett the other day with all these, different adjectives and things like that. That's how he talks in real life. And it's not like a bit. So he does that with other front offices and agents and stuff. And I think there's a little confusion based on like, okay, just kind of shoot us straight. And I think he's gotten better with that with us and trying to be more clear and outline what they're trying to do and be more public facing. He's done more interviews. He's been more, I think, available and kind of direct, especially since the Devers trade when maybe he feels like he has to. But I think front offices and agents look at it and be like, okay, like, so do you want our guy or not? Instead of, well, we wouldn't rule anything out and, that type of stuff where, Dombrowski would just tell you, we want Craig Kimbrell and JD. Well, and that would be that, But with Brez, it's a little bit harder to read, obviously.
I do think he's made improvements to your point. Like my first conversation face to face with him ever, Steve was there. I just was very blunt about that. Like, I think you would benefit greatly from just sounding like a human being and not. You don't like. We know that you're smart. You don't have to prove that to us. Like we get it. Like you're smart.
Can you fix Sean next?
Jared, I don't think that's sort of intentional on his part. I don't think this is. I'm going to whip out my Yale degree and
I agree.
And, use and show off my vocabulary. I think that's how he is with anybody. I think that's how he would be with a neighbor, with family members. It's how he talks, but it comes off as stilted.
Sure. Yeah. And I think he has made strides towards like, there's a normal guy in here. I just don't know how to get him out. And I'm trying my best to release him into the wild.
The big question I have, and like, I get along with him fine, and it's not a criticism. How did he like coexist with like shirtless Mike Napoli in 2013? Like what were the? I think it was all those guys were lunatics, right? And then
he leaned into it. I think Dallas was telling us that when they were teammates in Oakland, that he had like it was an acronym for like smartest guy in the league or something like that. like he leaned into it. He's like, yeah, like I know I'm smart. I know I sound like this. So like, I'll just, instead of being like, no, like I don't talk. I think he just like kind of owned it. And that was his bit. But
then again, also real quick on that, like how often did we hear from Breslow when he was playing here? It's not like he was interviewed that much. I mean, you guys
as a sort of lefty specialist or sixth or seventh inning guy, he wasn't somebody that you went to every game and got his perspective. And I think
how often was he doing interviews when I was in middle school, Sean?
Here we
was
go.
He like a go-to guy?
He was. He spoke at a level that you would not attain. Let's put it that way.
Was he more or less accessible than Smokey Joe Wood?
I'd say the same.
Jack, actually, if he has, can you see if maybe there's a problem with his microphone again or his video?
Yeah, we can boot him.
I want to say 2012. It was the first year I ever got paid to write, and I was at the New England Baseball Journal, and it was my first time ever in the clubhouse. And 2012, obviously a horrific season, and it was probably August. So this was by the time they knew like we're fucked and this sucks and everyone's miserable. And they gave me the assignment to do a story on the Yale connection between Breslow and Ryan Lavarnway. And I didn't go to school for this. I had never been in the clubhouse in my life. Didn't know how like this works. It was first time ever. And I just went in there and I stood and I just like looked around and I didn't know what the etiquette was and just came back with absolutely nothing. And they were furious and they didn't renew me at the end of the year, shockingly. But it was, I don't know that I would have had the confidence or the courage to approach even then like a Craig Breslow and be like, hey, I'm doing a story on how you and Ryan LaVorne went
like
to Yale. Do you want to talk about it? Like this is after everyone in the clubhouse wanted to fucking kill everyone.
Yeah.
That would have gone horribly.
I mean, I remember him as being like a fairly approachable guy and obviously a bright guy. But again, the role wasn't so significant that you felt like you had to get his vantage point on a lot of stuff. You know, he was a guy that you could talk to and get some perspective, but typically, you know, you're going to the bigger names and guys that are more central to the everyday outcomes in there.
For sure. Yeah. I remember Ortiz was bitching about his contract, and like that was like my first time being up close and personal to David Ortiz, and he was bitching about his contract, but like it's kind of just like the unwritten rule, not even unwritten, it's just you can't, like if they're not saying it to you on the record, then you can't like be like, oh, sources like David Ortiz unhappy about his contract or whatever, like, but he was just openly bitching about it. It's a fascinating culture. I think that might be the one and only time that I've been in the Red Sox clubhouse for like a situation like that. I don't go in there. I think I had one experience and I was like, I'm never doing this again. Never wanted to. But I think a lot of people right now that are tuned in, they want to hear about Alex Bregman. And we put out an episode earlier this week. We talked about the D-backs being the team that came in super aggressive as recently as Monday night is when I learned about that. The 6-year thing, which Passan put out an article kind of confirming that as well, so people can get off my fucking dick about carrying water for Boris. Like these are just things that are happening.
Did you get your Boris check for the week yet or no?
I did, yeah, it cleared. Yeah,
that's good.
Like right before the holiday, it was perfect because I usually go last minute shopping. That's great. The timing was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So the update this morning, and this is going to frustrate people. Very much conflicting reports.
I don't think that this going well from a technical standpoint.
What is going on here?
Awful showing for you. Yeah.
Every 2 minutes, one of you guys dips out. It's crazy.
We have recorded our pod on Zoom without an issue 380 times. And we jump on this Riverside shit. And this is what we get. Thank you for having us, by the way.
This is like the podcast universe just being like, nope, these two can't cross over. Like, they got to stay there. We stay here.
You know where Jared fucked it up? By using my real name and my real affiliation.
Yeah, I couldn't believe you led with Cotillo. That was nuts.
Ever since we did that, it's been all screwed out. And by the way, I appreciate for years not only getting my name wrong, but also making it unclear where people can find my work. You ever thought about it in those terms? So, and I was in the North End walking around over the summer. Some kid shot out of a cannon comes up. Excuse me, are you Cotillo? And I was so astonished that he knew who I was. I couldn't even correct him. But it got me thinking, like, holy shit, people think that's actually it now. So,
definitely,
yeah. And it's not. But you two have, I think, the full role in making that a thing.
I think we started in joke form, and then anytime you're mentioned, it's right. Obviously just Cotillo. Like it's never like ha Cotillo. Yeah. It's just Cotillo mentioned whatever, and right. And then Cora is just calling you the Mexican. We didn't take that jump, so that was a pretty big leap. But
he's been doing that for years. Okay. It's just the first time he did that on the podcast.
Yeah,
that's true. I'm going to Italy for a wedding in June, and I'm like excited to explore my heritage, but you guys have me wondering, like, what if I'm not, you know?
I don't think you are.
Yeah. So we're going to Cabo instead.
It's a good call.
No, I did it correctly. It's a sign of respect.
Thank you. Mass Live. Massachusetts.
Yep. Mass Live and the Fenway Rundown, which is one of Tyler Milliken's favorite podcasts.
Oh, that's good. He loves it. Your biggest fan is T. It's not even close.
I just put on my notifications for him to see how quickly he can aggregate me when I write something. It's like a challenge. Like, can he do it in 25 seconds?
So I also just very recently put his notifications on. I'm regretting it, but I just put them on, and I'm sure it's worse during the season. Sometimes
he'll be muted by then.
Yeah, he doesn't understand that sometimes you just don't have to tweet. Like, I think if it's been like an hour and a half and he hasn't tweeted, he's like, here's this video of Julio Lugo. I miss him. It's like, no, you don't. You just needed to tweet. You just
Yeah.
Like, that's what he does.
If
there's nothing to tweet, you just don't tweet.
It's on a timer, I'm guessing?
I don't know.
I think some are scheduled out. I do believe some are scheduled out, but Jared's not wrong.
The one where he said we're having a child together, I don't think was scheduled. I think that was off the cuff the other day. So
yeah.
Well,
knowing T though, because I had mentioned that to T, like a lot of times he'll get phrases wrong. He doesn't really know any phrases, but he creates funny phrases. But he had mentioned like, oh, when Cotillo and I have a baby, I'm like, you do know it's normally if we were to have a baby. So I don't know if you want to say here that you guys are having a relationship or what's going on, but like
the biggest fucking if of all time. Also,
yeah, no, clearly. I mean, I didn't know if you wanted to confirm something here, but either way, we can get back to Sox stuff. McAdam might be done. He might be gonzo.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I don't know. I'm not his assistant.
I mean, kinda.
Yeah. We're equal parts of the Fenway Rundown.
I don't think so. I think you're definitely like he's the head honcho and you're the other guy.
I do like when he writes his Friday notes column and he has something negative about the Red Sox in there. People are like, McAdam's really taking a negative turn toward the Red Sox. He hates them. Can you imagine him sitting down at his laptop and being like, fuck it. Year 36 on the beat. This is where we're going to start throwing shit that doesn't, it's not true. Like,
well, I do want to talk to you if he can ever return. I do want to talk to you guys about the media landscape. And
that was like the top thing I wanted to ask him. And then he's like, you know what? I've had enough of these losers.
Yeah. Should we pause and wait for him to return?
Probably. I mean,
yeah.
He said he was doing an update. So I think that's what's going on right now.
Let's pause and then we'll come back with more Sean McAdam and Chris Cotillo of the Mexican Times. All right, we interrupt this interview with Sean McAdam and Chris Cotillo to talk about Blue Moon, Steven, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. You love Blue Moon.
Oh,
I'm going to be drinking Blue Moons on Saturday night at my house, but you're not going to be there, right? You're going to be kissing your dad,
Another mention. Do we need 3 mentions of this?
Blue Moon was born in a ballpark at the Sandlot Brewery in Denver, Colorado, so it's no wonder why you crave it. Blue Moon's bold flavor, bright explosion of color, and iconic orange slice ritual guarantees a one-of-a-kind beer drinking experience year-round, and for those occasions that you want a lighter option, reach for Blue Moon Light. At only 95 calories, 3.6 grams of carbs per 12-ounce serving, it's refreshingly light alternative beer brewed with a real tangerine peel. Looking for a great-tasting non-alcoholic beer? Try Blue Moon Non-Alcoholic, still made with real Valencia orange peel and coriander with just 80 calories. I can't wait to taste that coriander on Saturday night, Steve. I'm going to be thinking about you with every single sip. I'm going to be like, ooh, a Blue Moon. Ooh, wish Steve was here. I bet Steve's kissing his dad right now.
Gosh.
I mean, you probably are. That's fine. It's your dad. It's whatever.
Get this kissing the dad
inspired
thing
by
out
the
of here.
beer you already love and available year-round. A wheat beer from Blue Moon with exceptional taste and only 95 calories, brightly brewed with real tangerine peel. Tastes light and refreshing. Nothing compares to the great taste of a Blue Moon Light. Blue Moon made brighter. Get Blue Moon Light delivered by visiting get.bluemoonbeer.com/Jared for delivery options. That is get.bluemoonbeer.com/Jared. Blue Moon made brighter. Celebrate responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Suck one.
How about Ethos, Steve?
Ethos, dude. I love Ethos. A lot of us know, Jared, that we need life insurance to protect our family's financial future if anything were to happen to us. And one of the biggest excuses for putting it off might be that you listening at home right now, think it's too expensive. But with Ethos, you can get affordable life insurance easily online. The traditional life insurance process is complicated, Jared, but Ethos has made it fast and easy. Life insurance is more affordable than you think. With Ethos, you can get a free quote and customize a rate that fits your budget. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. That's a lot of coverage, folks. Some policies as low as $2 a day, billed monthly. Love the billed monthly part. That's beautiful. Yep. Lock in your rate today since premiums can go up as you age. Ethos makes it fast and easy to protect your family's future in minutes, not months. No medical exam required. You just answer a few health questions 100% online. Get a quote in as little as 10 minutes. You can get same-day coverage without ever leaving your house. You don't like leaving your house, Jared, right? Like that's kind of how you built the house. Like everything is there so you don't have to leave the house.
Exactly. Yep.
So this is perfect for you, honestly.
Perfect for me. That's why I love Ethos.
Ethos is a trustworthy company that disrupts the traditional life insurance industry. 3 million families have completed their applications and trusted Ethos to help find the right coverage. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get your free quote today at ethos.com/section10. That is ETHOS.com/section10. Ethos.
Get your Ethos. Back to the show. All right, and we're back.
I think we're good now. I think we're good. We're
good. We're good. We're good. I do want to get into the Bregman stuff, and I also want to get into some media landscape stuff with you guys. Because I feel like that's going to be a hot button topic when we have that conversation. But first and foremost, as far as Alex Bregman goes, we put out the podcast earlier this week about the D-backs coming in and being willing to go 6. I believe they've made an offer. I want to say, if I had to guess, this is my educated guess. I think they made a 5-year offer. I think they've made they've kind of given him a buffet of offers. I think that they've made him several creative offers that include deferrals and opt-outs. I think that's where the D-backs are at. Where the Red Sox are at, I think they're probably at 4 with an option. That would be my guess. I think that they're above 3 for sure.
These are some specific guesses.
I think that they're above 3 for sure.
I'm going to guess I'm going to have chicken salad for lunch in an hour.
I think that my guess is that they're above 3 for sure. Potentially with a 5th-year option. I think the stalemate is the D-backs are prepared to guarantee 6 maybe, and that the Red Sox would go as much as 5 and then hope that Bregman values being in Boston more than anywhere else and takes the 5 from Boston. But I don't think that I don't think we're there yet.
I can see that being the case. I can see that the Red Sox feel that even though there's a, geographic edge to the Diamondbacks because he can stay at home all year and there's some value there, and being a guy who grew up in New Mexico, all of that.
But Mrs. Bregman really loved Boston. I think she geographically would like to be here as well.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking about the convenience of having spring training, your off-season home, and your regular season home all under one roof. There's value to that, but I think the Red Sox know that he liked it here, that he loved the atmosphere, the ballpark, the city, the market, the tradition, all of that stuff. Is that going to be enough to trump what's being offered elsewhere? I mean, it kind of happened last year, right? He got more money offered to him by Detroit. He got a longer deal offered to him by the Cubs, and he picked here for a reason. But I wonder if that would happen 2 times in a row.
I don't think it will. I go back to that conversation that we've talked about on our pod so many times. Where like I was getting him in the dugout in June about, how do you like it here? And would you like to sign an extension? All that type of stuff. And it was like cliche. Yeah, we're open to talks, all that stuff. And then I said, how much of a priority is it for you to have this next deal you sign be the last one for your career? And he got like super serious and said, no, that's a really high priority, really, really high. And maybe that's part of the politician playing the game type of thing. But I just feel like once a guy goes through free agency and there's the unsettled part of being unsigned to spring training open and stuff, probably doesn't want to do that like 3 more times in his career. And it's time, I think, to just, especially with the lockout, with the uncertainty, to get the best and biggest offer. And in this case, like if it's Arizona, it's a place that he's going to be fine being for the reason Sean said. It's not a place like Detroit where he doesn't want to go. But I also wouldn't discount a team like that coming in and making a big offer and him considering it. I just don't think he's going to do the short-term deal again.
I don't either.
I would hope for the sake of everybody that it just happens sooner than last year. Like I hear what you're saying, Cotillo, about wanting it to be that long-term deal, wanting it to be the last, full deal that he's going to have and have that comfort of maybe some player options on the tail end. But just for everybody's sake of, how long the off season is and for the families too of like, can we just figure this out? Like, Sean, I know you alluded to it earlier, but it's such a pain in the ass for all of us, really.
Yep.
To have all these reports and rumors and all these things come out. And you never really know if it's for leverage. A lot of times it is. So I don't really care about most reports, honestly, especially as it pertains to a Boris client.
Just ours?
Yeah, I only care about you two guys specifically and then what Jared tells us. But no, it just, I really hope it happens soon. I really do, just for everybody involved. And I get that if you're going to want to get your last big deal, you might have to push that all the way to that first, day of spring training. But I would hope it doesn't go that long. Have you guys gotten the sense at all that it's going to be similar
I'd be
to
surprised if it took that long to unfold. Yeah. I think they were, there was a little bit of a game of chicken last year, and it was trying to get probably to get the Red Sox to go longer and match what Detroit and the Cubs were talking about. And then ultimately, I think he looked at this as the classic Boris pillow deal, right? Come here, establish yourself further on a 1-year opt-out and take another shot at it without the attached qualifying offer, which puts a drag on what teams are willing to do. Now, as Boris said, he's really free, a really free agent, in the sense that there is no compensation attached. I'd be shocked if we were talking about this even past the first week of January. I just don't see it dragging on that long.
The one reason it might, though, is that, like, if there's, and we don't know really who because it's been a quiet market, but let's say there's a lot of teams then on Tucker at the 300 to 400 million level. There's going to be, 3 or 4 teams that lose out on him and have those resources to do something else. So maybe if you're Bregman, you wait till he comes off the board. Let's say, Toronto doesn't get him, and then all of a sudden they have this money to spend that they had set aside. Like last year, we saw the Yankees miss out on Soto and then sign, 4 or 5 guys. The Red Sox missed out on Soto and pivoted toward, Crochet and Bregman eventually. So that could be a reason.
As a counter to that, I would also point out that Boris has got some other really, frontline guys out there, and you can't hold all of them out into February. He's got Ranger Suarez, he's got Okamoto, he's got Imai. So there are a number of high-profile guys, and I don't know that he's going to necessarily pick Bregman as the guy. Well, that's the one we're going to save for the end and make teams squirm a little bit with.
Yeah, that report yesterday about Bellinger wanting $400 million. Like, good luck with that, buddy. I don't know.
I wouldn't. That probably, we have a green light, yellow light, red light aggregation system at Mass Live where we. That would be a red light in terms of not passing the sniff test.
Yeah. And didn't the reporter that reported it, didn't he cite himself?
That seems to be the case, yes. Barry Bloom. From, MLB.
Yeah, he was like, according to Bloomsky, it's weird.
I'm going to start doing
half
that.
A Billy. I'm just guessing. But
yeah. So I would say ultimately, like people are asking me, where do you think he signs? And I don't want to just outright say I think he signs with the Red Sox.
I feel better that it's not my. I feel better that it's not my fault now.
The one time it's not me. Yay!
Yeah, we got power back. Anyways, this is crazy.
I think it's been so bad that I kind of like it now. Like now it's gotten to the point where like this is awesome.
Everyone's gonna be like, yeah, remember that like McAdam Cotillo podcast where everyone got booted like every 10 minutes?
I'm gonna just start hanging up for effect.
Yeah. All right, one more word from our sponsors. It's Game Time. You already know. The Game Time app takes the advantage and it gives it right back to the fans. It's the hack for unlocking amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. It's incredibly easy to use, and the Game Time guarantee means that you can trust that you'll get 100% authentic tickets on time and at the best price. Plus, fees are always included, so what you see is what you pay. I went onto the Game Time app and I was like, hey, who wants some tickets for Christmas? Who wants to go to an event? Who wants to go to a concert? Who wants to go to a sports games? And everyone was like, me, I want to go. So I said, tickets for you and tickets for you and tickets for you. Game Time is the app that is making the holiday season great again. Right, Steven?
That's sports, right. Concerts, tickets.
Yes. Sports concerts, fees are included. Know your total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. Save even more when you choose a section. You let Game Time choose the seats for you. Snag new ticket deals before anyone finds out by following your favorite teams in the Game Time app to receive alerts. You can get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. The lowest price guarantee or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Your purchase is also covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the tickets industry today. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the promo code SECTION10 for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, use the promo code SECTION10, SECTION10 for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. Steve, what time is it?
Game time?
No, it's time to go back to the interview. I don't want to say where I think Bregman's going to sign because I think people will just take that to heart and then hold me to it like you told me, blah, blah, blah. But I would say right now, my gut tells me he's either going to come back to the Red Sox on a 5-year deal or he's going to go to Arizona on a 6-year deal. I feel like those are the only two options right now.
Yeah, there could be the vaunted mystery team that emerges late here.
Philly.
But I would say that given all the things that Arizona has going for it, location, their aggressiveness, that they're probably the team the Red Sox should be most concerned about.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'll go off the board and say like the Cubs or the Tigers, because it's always seems like the team that is on the periphery that's you don't hear about. And the more time goes on, I think they're running a play with the Diamondbacks,
like the Orioles.
The problem with the Cubs is they've been acting like the Red Sox prior to the winter of 24, where they don't spend money on anything.
Yeah,
and I find it hard to believe they're going to be competitive on a 5 or 6 year deal and go dollar for dollar with other teams, especially when they've got Shaw as a backup and a very inexpensive alternative at third.
What do you think, Steven?
About what? About where they go?
About where, like,
what were you doing that you lost your train of thought here?
Yeah.
No, don't worry. Again, I'm trying to make sure that this thing doesn't blow up once again. About where, I don't know, man. I mean, I've shifted over the course of this offseason like 20 different times. The second you mentioned the Diamondbacks, it's like, really? Can I picture him playing for the Arizona Diamondbacks? I don't know. That just didn't really compute, didn't really add up. And it's like, yeah, maybe they're going to make that addition, but probably not. I'm a homer too. Like, we're fans. So you guys obviously are reporters. You're like, we got to go off of the facts. I'm going off the heart here and just want him back as a fan. Like, I just want to see him in that jersey again and being the leader that he was this past season. All the stuff that gets talked about with Breggy's we probably talk about it too much, honestly, with like the leadership stuff. He probably wouldn't even want us to talk about this. It's like, all right, just let me like do my thing and shut
I think he's
shut
okay
up with
it being talked about.
No, I'm sure he is, but at the same time, it's like we bring up the Roman thing all the time and always great with Marcelo, and it's like, just let that naturally happen. We don't need to point it out every 3 seconds when they're in the dugout, even though I do love those shots. But I don't know. It does kind of feel like a 5-year deal, him coming back here, maybe having a player option on the tail end and not having to worry about, and you guys alluded to it, not having to worry about every single offseason doing this whole song and dance over and over again.
It's clear that he wants some long-term certainty here.
Yeah. I mean, and also like he's going to be able to, I think, benefit from the desperation of it all where, Alonso and Schwarber go off the board early. And, I don't think Breslow is listening to every fan and reading all, the emails that he might have coming in about, like people getting pissed about this stuff. But the Red Sox have to add a bat. Like, that's unquestionable. So if you're one of those bats, you're in a good position that you kind of have this team and you kind of have the leverage. The question is there somebody they like better? Is it Marte? Is it somebody like that? That's the scary part for Bregman.
Why isn't it Bo Bichette?
I think it could be him too. But, as Sean wrote a couple weeks ago, like there's a perception from agents that they're afraid of long-term deals with free agents. I know he's a little bit younger, but do you see them giving him 8 years or 7? I would think about it, but the reality is that they are hesitant because it's a bad investment at the end in 90% of cases, and they're terrified of that, whether that's from a Henry level or a Breslow level.
Free agency is inefficient, always has been. But if you are a real player, you go in knowing that that's the case, and that if you sign a 6-year deal, you're going to get 3 really good years, 2 mediocre years on the slide, and then the last year you're going to want to run for the hills from that last year.
Look at the Cease deal. That's a great example of this, where they're looking for next year and the year after. And really,
teams. Smart teams or teams that do that know that you go into that. That's part of the cost of doing business. Yeah, it's not efficient, and you're not going to get great return on your investment toward the back end of a deal for a guy in his mid-30s. But you're okay up front paying for that privilege because you think there's a chance you could win a couple of World Series in the front end of the deal.
Also, to answer your question, Sean, Bo Bichette is a year younger than Story was when he signed his 6-year deal with the Red Sox. Not that was a good deal.
Right.
Not that it's
remember that was looked upon as a team-friendly deal because it came out of a lockout and players are scrambling and trying to get to teams in a hurry and get into camp and get a deal done. And Trevor Story was so unhappy with that deal, he immediately fired his agent. So that tells you a little bit about the fact that the Red Sox capitalized there, putting aside, as you did, the injuries for the first 3 years and how little they got from Story in that period. But my issue is, to me, the one thing that Bo Bichette represents is he's good at putting the bat on the ball. He doesn't strike out a lot. If you're looking for a guy that's going to supply power, he's not it. He'll give you 20 to 25 in a good year, but he's not a slugger. And you're already talking about moving a guy off his natural position because he's not very good at short anymore. And most teams don't regard him as even an acceptable shortstop at the big league level. What do you know about how he's going to be able to handle second base? The fact that he played 5 games there in the World Series is enough to convince you. I just think that, because he's a guy that has 200 hits and has led the league in hits a couple of times and has been an all-star. Look, he's a good player, but I'm not sure he's a good fit here in terms of what they're looking for, because he's also the potential's there to effectively block Meyer for a long time, no matter where he goes. We presume it would be second if he signed here, but do you really want a guy signed for 6 or 7 years at second base, meaning that you either have to trade Meyer or figure out a way to have him play at third base?
I'm Bichette over Bregman just because I think the ceiling's higher. I think that you're going to get Bichette. Think about the deal Bichette, was projected to get a couple years ago. It's bigger than the one he's going to get, right? Injuries and
yeah, he was supposed to be a $300 million player a couple of years ago.
That ceiling to me is still there. And did you know his parents met at the Gold's Gym behind Fenway?
No, that could change everything.
Yeah, I know.
I was unaware of that.
So that's another factor too.
That's going to be the lead factor, honestly.
Yeah.
Nobody's
They're going to talk about that
about
at the introductory press conference.
Now a dispensary.
My parents met right across the street here at a Gold's Gym, which is now a marijuana dispensary.
That's right.
Yeah. So the media landscape stuff. Sean, you first, because we worked together 10 years ago now on the baseball show on Comcast Sportsnet New England, which is now what, NBC Sports Boston?
NBC Sports Boston.
Yeah.
Yep. May it rest in peace.
Yeah. How much do you think just in that time? Because I think that even them giving me a shot to do that show was a sign of like the media landscape was changing, and obviously a terrible decision to have me on that show. But in the 10 years since, a lot has changed just overall. Like now you find yourself behind a podcast mic, and just the way that news is distributed, it's just so different now. Like how have you taken it in, adapted, and made it kind of what you are used to being a part of now?
Yeah, I mean, because my career was around a long time before even I got to Comcast Sportsnet. The changes that are most dramatic are going back further. The 24-hour news cycle that now exists. I tried telling younger reporters what it was like when everybody was on a newspaper deadline, and if something happened at 9 o'clock in the morning, you prayed that you were the only one that had it by 10 o'clock that night when First Edition came around. There was no way of disseminating that on Twitter. That didn't exist. And you would wake up in the morning and literally see if your competitors had the same stuff you did. I mean, that's like, the dark ages when you think about how the media world has evolved and how the job has changed, but it continues to change. I mean, I've done a lot of radio, a lot of TV in my career, but now there's podcasts, there's live streams, there's video, there's YouTube, there's a million ways. It's funny, Jared, speaking about working together, I remember like a sea change in my mind was your Pablo Sandoval on the toilet in Atlanta story. And thinking like, okay, this is a different world than the one I grew up in, where it's news that Pablo Sandoval was in the clubhouse restroom liking an Instagram photo of some woman, and that is now a talking point on the baseball show. And I remember thinking like, yep, this is not your father's or even my journalism world anymore.
And the Tonight Show, Sean, that made it up to Jimmy Fallon. That's how big that story got.
Yep. So, it was huge. Yeah. And I remember thinking like, oh, wow.
Johnny Carson would have never.
No chance.
No.
You see what Ted Williams was doing?
I remember that vividly and thinking even at the time, like, this is the beginning of or another step along the way in a new world here.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. And then, for Chris, I know it bothers me, and it has nothing to do with me. Like the aggregation, like when you guys are offering a paid service and then you put time into researching something and it's behind a paywall. And then within 2 minutes, you've got people being like, per Sean McAdam, per Chris Cotillo.
And the per's at the end of it normally. The per's normally the reply.
The screen clips are better. No, the screenshot of the paywall stuff is some of the best, honestly.
Yeah. And like, that's got to be frustrating because, I mean, I think, if you're just a fan, I get it. It's exciting to get the juicy information, and then you're trying to build up your own social media profile. And it's like, well, I pay for it, so I'm taking it to put it out there so people follow me instead of the actual writers who did the work to report it. But on the other side of the fence, that's not being considered is, it's a very fickle industry, and there's, a lot of movement, and there's a lot of, let's face it, there's a lot of like insecurity about, am I justifying what I'm being paid to do this? And your currency, your value is the information that you can gather. And it's like, all right, I have this information over here. I've done the work. I've built the relationships. I've networked so that I can put it behind this paywall in the subscription service. And now I have this asshole is giving it away for free. That it bothers me, and we don't have like a paid we have ads on the show, like that's how we keep it free, which people still fucking complain about, which makes me want to fucking slap the shit out of you. Oh my god, it's a podcast about ad reads. We do 3-hour episodes, Sean. Like these are fucking biblical epics, and we have 5 ad reads, and people are like, I can't believe it, blah blah blah. That's because it's fucking free, and we're not on Patreon. No offense to anyone that is.
Loud minority.
It's we're always getting replies on Twitter like, I'm not paying for this, and like it strikes me that like this is kind of like walking past a restaurant where the food smells really good and you feel the need to open the door to the restaurant and shout to the owner or head chef, boy, this smells good, but I'm not coming in. Well, thanks. You're
not getting my service in there. You
information.
Yeah.
That's kind of what
that's
is.
That's a great comp. I like that comp a lot.
I'm sure this might be good, but I'm not paying for it. Yeah. Did anybody ask you like what was behind your decision-making process that you felt the need to put it out on this?
And then they can just wait for Milliken to steal the meatballs, right?
Yeah, exactly. And he'll do that. That would be funny, just walking down North End and doing that at every restaurant. Yeah, again, smells wonderful. You're not getting my money.
It's great, but I'm not coming in.
I'm going home. I'm not
going to any of these places. I hate all of you guys.
Jared, my aggregation problem, so Sean has 2 things a week on average that are behind a paywall. Myself, Chris Smith, all of our stuff is not behind a paywall. It's just the way we structure the site now, and those decisions are obviously above us. But my issue with aggregation stuff, and I think, the primary one's Milliken, obviously not pandering, but does a good job, and, Gordo, like they don't put stuff out of context. But like I got out of a meeting the other day after going on MLB Network. We had our holiday party for Mass Live, and I wasn't on my phone. I looked at it after 30 minutes, and you and I were at war because you said Bregman was going elsewhere, and I said he was likely to return, even though neither of us, you kind of said your part, which obviously you did. I didn't say that, but, it gets distilled down in every aggregation of, look at the whole clip of what I said on the TV hit, and so I'm like defending myself from stuff I didn't say.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing too. Just, I always say my career doesn't exist without Twitter because I jumped on early. I was the annoying high schooler breaking stories that no one needed in the industry. Yeah.
Shout out Doug Fister, man. Shout him out.
Seriously. Ricky Nolasco. Thank you very much. But I still would like it to be destroyed, Twitter as an app, even though I owe my whole adult life to it, just because of the way it operates. And, we can get into the shoot the messenger stuff, all the stuff that people hate when we talk about, that we discuss all the time, but it's hard, and I think it's, you've talked about this a lot with having a high profile, like the reading what people have to say about you. Sean's comp about the restaurant's one thing, but you look at, we all do really, like, what, 30 to 50 people a day who tell us we suck at our job because the Red Sox didn't sign the person that they wanted. We're not signing those checks. And so it's a really, really, like, when you take a step back and you look at like what, the Twitter echo chamber and kind of what our lives are, it's a pretty bizarre existence, I think, for all of us in the space.
I generally stay away from the clapback. I did it earlier in my career.
I do it for
I see somebody really mischaracterizing what I reported. I will respond. But even then, I'm starting to say, like, it's not worth it. Don't get down and wrestle with these people in the mud. Like, for instance, I can tell you that, yes, myself and somebody else on the beat, Jared, were responsible for you not getting credentialed at the winter meetings. I'm clean on your show. But that was out there, and it's like, really, asshole? Like, you gotta make some shit up about me that is completely without foundation. And 5 years ago, I would have gone back at the guy. Now it's just like, why amplify it?
Yeah, because I'm not mature enough to take that stand, so I respond to everybody. Chance. But my strategy is like, now that I'm not actually offended by things people are saying to me, like, hey, I appreciate you following and reading, and hope you have a nice Christmas, and hope the Red Sox do what you want. Like, it's baseball, and it's kind of this make-believe fandom world that it shouldn't get personal. And so I try to kind of decouple those things. Yeah. But still, sometimes I remember, the worst day I can remember is when Devers had years ago now, like 3 or 4, Devers had his birthday party in the Dominican. And there was all those reports that they went to the birthday party with this big offer. And in reality, they legitimately brought him a birthday cake just as a sign of hey, we're on good terms. It clearly didn't work long term, but it got the extension kind of ball rolling. And there was reports that he made an offer, and all my sources on that were 4 people in the front office, his agent, and someone else at the party. And I wrote at the time, it was just a birthday cake. They didn't really talk extension. It was just kind of a lighthearted thing. And Spear had the same thing. And the DMs, the messages, the emails I got for just writing the truth because people wanted to hear that they were close to an extension was super eye-opening to me. Like, holy shit. I always say you could say the same thing or have the same source if it's what people want to hear. Great job, great report. And if it's not, you don't have real sources. You're a fraud. And so it's it. If you get caught up in it, which I have at different times, you could lose your mind.
I also sort of long ago came to the realization, and this is not meant to be dismissive of people, but most sports fans have no idea about how the media world operates. I have people.
As Steve would say, there's a workshop for that.
I have people who assume that we travel on the Red Sox charter and that the Red Sox pay for our expenses on the road. And this is not like people saying, oh, you're a homer. There are those people out there too. But the average fan has no understanding of how the media world works, and nor should they. But my problem is people thinking they do and presenting themselves as experts and making assumptions about how things work when there's no basis in reality.
Yeah, that's kind of part of what I'm doing, responding to people on Twitter, is I'm seeing if I can just kind of etch away and just explain our process about something.
One asshole at a time.
Yeah. And Sean's always like, how do you have the time for that? And I mean, when you have a dry off season, the clock opens up, you know? So,
of course. Well, Cotillo's big thing right now is retweeting the hate. Like, it'll be like, Cotillo sucks. He's like, retweet, boom, gotcha. I bet you didn't think I was going to do that.
I can't believe they let that fat pig on MLB Network. I can't retweet it fast enough. Awesome. 2 pigs, me and Crochet. And it's like, I cannot retweet that fast enough. And my parents are always like, did you retweet that by accident? No. I want people to, and then because I think
it's disarming.
Part of that part of that's to show I really like, it is what it is, right? It's Twitter. I'm not going to remember this conversation tomorrow. So it is what it is. And part of it's like, all right, if you're willing to tweet that at me and just say it to one person and think, here's 80,000 followers. Do you want to say it now? And I think part of that, people kind of generally say, fuck yeah, I do. You're still a fat pig, which is an upsetting reality of it. But I've gotten to the point where, I've been like, I'm a little more than 10 years into my career in different stages. And it's like, I'm not going to take this stuff personally anymore, but it does take a really, really long time.
It takes longer than people think. Like Jared and I have talked about this before. I was soft as hell on Twitter. I would block people. I'd get offended. I'd be reaching out DMs like, what was this? Why would you say that to me?
I'm the opposite. I've been doing this for 20 years and I just started blocking people now because before I was like, I don't want to block someone because then they're going to take a screenshot and be like, look, Jared blocked me. What a softie. Yeah. And now I'm just like, you know what?
You're taking away from your audience too. If you block somebody, it's always my theory.
Yeah. I don't fucking care.
If something really crosses the line usually, it's got to be egregious for me to block. Most of the time I mute. And then it's like, I don't have to see it next time. Yeah. But I'm not giving them the satisfaction of a block.
Yeah. Like I think if I would say I mostly mute, but if you're just egregiously an asshole, then I'll block you. And then they all do the same thing. They all take it. Someone did it the other day. They're like, so like she said something crazy to me and then screenshotted the block and then tweeted about it like 5 times. He's so soft. Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I just made your week by acknowledging you and blocking you. Like that was the highlight of your fucking week. You're probably still telling your friends about it today, but it is what it is.
Another thing I think on it is like, there's some people who will fire off like 200 tweets a day, just ripping the shit out of the beat or you guys or whatever. I'm so impressed by their dedication to the bit.
I know it takes a lot.
I can do nothing but salute them. It's like me with the fucking workshop ad, Steve.
I'm telling you,
you have to respect the commitment.
It is funny. I've gone through so many stages of muting and unmuting Cotillo because I do think Cotillo is valuable to the space. I would never say that publicly. Obviously, this isn't public, but like. I think that I'm glad the relationship we've had with Cotillo over the years. I think for the most part, he takes the beating well. For the most part, not always. But there are certainly times with the fucking workshop where it's like, I swear it's every other hour. Spots remain. Like, dude, how many people are still going to this workshop? Are people still going to this thing? Like, I would have assumed by now the people that would have wanted to do it already did it, and they're not going to do it again.
It does surprise me that he continues to uncover applicants.
Yeah,
where are they coming from?
Universe hasn't already hit everybody.
The key is that spots always remain. The spots can always be filled, and that is part of it.
And they can keep remaining.
And I think it's just in your head because you're the person who complains about it the most. You're noticing everyone and you're harping on everyone. But sometimes I take a break to tweet about Carolina basketball also for you.
Oh, it's the worst.
Because my audience wants that,
No, they don't. You've so specifically built this audience that's like Red Sox followers, baseball followers, and you're like, go to hell, Duke. Like, no one cares, dude. Like, I can't believe you still do that.
I know. It's extremely immature at the end of the day.
It's the absolute worst. I did want to ask a question, though, that's kind of a...
Speaking of college basketball obsessions, I saw that you recently visited my alma mater for a big ceremony and
it was a big night.
It was a huge night. Mike Eamon night, in fact. Yes, honoring Michael Eamon, one of the great Providence College fans of all time. And I believe they're doing a statue. I believe that wasn't part of like the night, but it was like, the announcement of the statue. And I'm sad that Lou wasn't there.
I know.
Yep. Well, Lou doesn't have the sheepskin though. You know, he didn't see it all the way through.
No, I think when it comes to college hoops and Cotillo, this gets back to the UNC thing. I'm a BC fan. We've had nothing to be excited about for 16 years. They haven't made the tournament since 2009. So like that's part of the hate.
You can just watch and relive the Henry Hill years and the. I
got to run back like Craig Smith footage. Like this is pre-HD.
Quentin Post was an excellent player, Steve.
I know. I do follow him in the Warriors, but anyway,
I don't know who these people are.
The last college basketball point is that BC basketball is a great take because if you live in Boston, you go on StubHub, see if there's a game that day, pay $4 for a ticket,
game time.
Game time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, game time, man.
Wherever you find your tickets.
Yep.
$4, go sit right next to the court. See whatever you want. So
the fee for the ticket is more than the ticket. That's how bad the team is. It's an absolute joke.
This was kind of a BC and PC hockey game last year. That was good.
There you go. Yeah, that's the one thing they have going for them. This is kind of a piggyback off of what Jared said earlier. And I'm curious of what you think, Sean, because Cotillo's still like 22 years old. But
I just turned 30. So
there you go. Congrats. Welcome to the group.
Yeah.
In 2018,
license.
I'll never forget the first time that I was down on the field. And obviously it's a huge credit to Jared for kind of setting the tone for what can happen with media. Shout out to you, Jared. But the show was obviously reaching a new level, a new height, and we could feel that. We could feel it with the energy of the fans. But getting on the field was like different. I'm curious from your perspective. Now I feel like I belong. It took me a while to feel like I belong down there. But you guys are obviously, you've set the tone forever of what it means to be a reporter and cover the team locally. When you start seeing people that do podcasts, kind of, I don't want to say exclusively, but that's our main thing that we do in this space that are now getting credentialed. Like what's your reaction to that? Like, how do you then accept what that is?
This is why Sean had Jared banned from the winter meetings, right?
Sure. Yeah, exactly. But I am curious, like your honest thoughts of like, they're down here now.
But that was one of them.
Yeah.
I think it's good for fans to have a number of different perspectives and a number of different places to turn for content. I've never been one of those, they don't do what we do and what are they doing here and how come they got credentialed.
There was one person.
I think there's an understanding that I wish fans sometimes understood the distinction because I think, they'll expect Chris and I to approach news and things on the beat with the same enthusiasm that you guys might, but you are, as you self-describe, more fans than you are journalists. And the blurring of that distinction sometimes is lost on people, like, well, you must want them to win, right? And no, that's not part of my job, but I understand that it's a big tent now. And it's good for fans to have a variety of outlets from which to choose. And I have no problem with it.
I think, not that you asked me, one of the more interesting things in just the day-to-day and traveling, and this is super like inside baseball journalism stuff, but just to see the bar at which each team has it right now for access, like the Red Sox let you guys in for the field, but not the clubhouse, right? That's correct.
Yeah, no, that would make no sense for us either.
But it's just, it doesn't matter. But they don't have like other podcasts where you go cover a game in Washington or Baltimore or some of these other markets, and it's a lot of blogs. I kind of saw this when I was in college at SB Nation, MLBDailyDish.com, may it rest in peace. Like, they would not credential me for regular season games at Fenway because they had a high bar. It's Boston. It's a big market. And if I went to Baltimore or Tampa, I'd have clubhouse access at 17, 18, which was probably an oversight on their part. But it just kind of does depend on the market. And I think it's really hard for these teams to like set rules. It used to be the Red Sox one is if you're affiliated with a newspaper. Like we are only loosely affiliated with the Springfield Republican now at Mass Live, but we're one of two outlets that does 162, like in person. So the goalposts have moved, obviously. When you guys have such a massive audience, I hate to say it out loud, like you deserve to have access to the players if you want them. Is also people who are there have the expectation of being professional, and you guys aren't getting autographs in the dugout and things like that. Yet. So, I mean, no, but maybe next year you can bring the scrapbook. I think like that's what teams are always afraid of. And I think they're too afraid generally to let people who have the biggest microphones in. So I don't know why Sean blocked you from the winter meetings. I was against
it. Like the whole press pass thing drives me nuts because like it started in 2018 when I went to Oakland and I got credentialed for the Sean Manaea no-hitter against Boston. And we were on the field after the game, and we were on the field for BP before the game. That's like the first time I met JD Martinez in person. And I'm pretty sure that's the first time I met Cora in person. Like we had followed each other on Twitter for years, but we had never met in person. And then I came back to Boston and I was like, why will the A's credential me, but you won't? And they were like, well, you know, we have these rules in place. And I was like, I think it's time to change the rules. No, like the media is changing and I think that your rules are outdated. And they were like, all right, fine. And so that's when they made the online only paper pass. So like even letting me in, like I have like the scarlet letter, like I have the paper pass and it says online only, like don't look him in the
no winter meetings acceptance here.
Yeah, like don't look him directly in the eyes. He's not real. Like paper pass. And to this day, that's the pass that I get.
Still says online only.
And I've asked for the full season pass. And they won't give me the full season pass, but if I apply individually for all 81 home games, they will approve all 81 home games. I mean, all that to say, I appreciate that they let us in at all. And to Steve's point, like it's never worn off. Like anytime that they open up that gate and I get to go on the field or go down the dugout,
like you sure?
Like, huh?
I'm almost like, you sure? Like they'll open the gate. Yeah. Oh, so it actually, the scan went through. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, okay. Like it always feels to me like.
And then they go, oh shit, online only.
Yeah, online only.
Hold the gun to the temple.
Yeah, and like I'm very grateful for the opportunity at all, but there's just something that rubs me the wrong way about it. It feels intentional. The hoops that we have to jump through just to get out there. When I feel like we're definitely at the point now where if we just want a season pass, why can't? And it's like, oh, it's a space issue. Like it's always like it's a space issue. There's plenty of space for us at batting practice. We don't go in the press box. I only go in the press box to use a snack machine. That's it. I don't want to go in the clubhouse.
If I haven't gotten to it first.
Right. Well, I don't do the ice cream. It's normally
sold out because
I usually do the ice cream up in the Aura Club. But yeah, it feels like, yeah, you're welcome, but not really entirely yet.
That press box is scary. Cotillo remembers. I sat in Bradford's seat for one game, and I'm like, I'm never coming back in here. And also, there's just kind of that feeling of like, what the hell is he doing here? And I don't even blame anybody for that. But
yeah,
he's helping me edit my workshop ad for 2 hours with as much as together.
But I know my place. Like I don't think I belong in the press box. I don't think I belong in the clubhouse because I respect people like Sean when it's like that's your job. You know, like if
just him.
Yeah, I don't respect you. Okay. If Sean is in the clubhouse doing a one-on-one with a player and it's done in a way where it's like this is a journalist-player relationship. This is a journalist-player interview being conducted, and this is the place for it. I'm not going to go in the clubhouse and ask Jaron Duran, like, hey, man, like, how much do you bench? Like, what do you weigh now? Like we're not, like, I don't want to make a mockery of their profession. So I only do go on the field for batting practice or in the dugout or whatever because it's just... That's I guess like our space to network and build the relationships and be present when you do have players or coaches or whomever, if they're upset with something that we said, here I am. If there's an issue, like I think that was the first time I ever asked for a press pass was in 2016 when I started doing the baseball show. And I was like, I'm on here being like, you know, Clay Buchholz sucks. And I feel like I'm being a coward if I'm not there. If he wants to come up and take this up with me. Now you're saying I can't be there to be accountable for what I'm saying on television. Like that doesn't feel right.
You can't have it both ways where, you know, where you're trying to be accountable and you're trying to be available if players have an issue with you, but they won't let you be there to be accountable.
Yeah.
Let me flip it on YouTube and ask about, from our perspective, I'm hosting now.
Okay.
Yep.
How do you two feel about how the team is covered by the beat overall?
Satisfactory?
Yeah. I never feel like stuff's not getting out there. I do think I love any videos that come from the pressers. Like, I think there's a couple of newer guys that have been in there and are up front. I'm blanking on the names, but
Tommy Freeze Pops.
Yeah, which has been super helpful, because like from my perspective, I love doing a lot of the social stuff for the podcast. When you can pair a quote card with the video, it's great. And then obviously, we're crediting I feel like everyone's just stealing everyone's stuff. But when you're given the fair credit, it works for everybody. It's eyes on everybody's content. I never feel like we're not getting what we need from you guys and from the beat specifically. I mean, there's some times where it's like, oh, okay, is that report legit? Is this report legit? Never anything from you guys. Like, you guys have been pretty spot on. But no, I don't, like, Jared, do you think we're missing a specific part of the coverage?
There's no shit stir anymore, but I don't think that's necessary.
I try my best, and everybody with the team thinks that I am that guy, but
you are that guy. Like,
I try to ask the questions that the fan is asking at home, and you get painted. Tim Healy's doing a good job of also asking the tough questions too.
Sure.
Since he's come along, because now he's getting the Cora glare at the same level I am.
Yeah, you get it the most though. I know it's you all the time.
It's because he just wants to, I think, reiterate that, like, you're the new guy on the beat. It's been 8 years, but you're the new guy, And I want to make sure that you are put in your place by that every time.
He loves you and hates you at the same time. Like, Drellick was a really good shit stirrer for a little while. Shaughnessy, when he wants to be, he can still come out and be that guy, but he's not going to be there every day like he was before. Well, I don't think you need that necessarily, but
I think the term shit stir is like you go in and being like, let me find fucking chaos in here. That's really not that's not the impetus. Like, I think a good example of that is, remember I wrote that story. I remember, we talked about it. Casas was pissing off all the veterans with his stretching and all his routine and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I was just, at a player's locker one day, and just it came up in conversation, like, this kid's got to quit it. And I heard that from a couple other people. It wasn't a huge deal. And I heard that in the fall of whatever year that was before. And so heading into spring training, my idea for a story was like, I'm going to go up to Tristan and ask him, hey, I know you've gotten this feedback privately. I know about it. How have you decided to change your routine? And so, like, the criticism there is, oh, you found conflict. I didn't write it as, like, veterans are mad. It was him telling his side of what he learned from it. And, like, I think there are people who are afraid to touch the conflict at all, but that's part of the job is, telling you about the good, the bad, everything in between, the ugly in some ways.
You're not pissing people off in the organization that you're covering, then you're probably not doing a real good job.
And I always say, like, we're beholden to being accountable for the fans and, like, answering the questions that the fans want answered. So if I see on Twitter, this is, I think, the good benefit of it. Like, we're in the press box. We're each on our laptop. Like, that's a good time for me to edit the pod or, like, write a feature for the next day. We're not locked in on every pitch like you would be if you're sitting in the stands or at home. And so there's times, and I don't watch with the broadcast on. Sean doesn't either. Some people have their, AirPods in and listen to us, and we don't. So if something's said on the broadcast or something is like happening on the field that we don't have a good angle of from up there, to have a fan tweet at us and be like, hey, ask Cora about this thing in the 6th inning postgame. Like, that's unbelievably valuable. And I try to do that, even if he's going to look at me and be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you asking me that? My job's not to be necessarily buddy-buddy with him. He understands that. He still gets mad every single time. But you're like, we're trying to figure out, like, what the fan at home is wondering about. Why'd you make that pitching change? Or why did you do this? Or why did you do that? The fan can't barge into the press conference room and ask that, other than the online only group. So we have the ability to do that. The one more point, Steve, responding to what you were saying, they don't allow videos in the clubhouse other than Nesson. a lot of teams do. I think that they should, because I think getting the videos and, the players should want that, because
25.
There's no body language guessing or anything like that when it comes to video versus print. So I think that.
What do you mean by they don't allow? Because there definitely were videos, right? Like from this past
in the clubhouse.
Wait,
the clubhouse is just the Nesson camera.
Accredited.
Right.
Like Channel 4 or Channel
TV cameras.
5 channel. Yeah, TV cameras can be in post game, but they don't allow
cell phone video at all.
That's
didn't we see cell phone video? Didn't we see cell video
maybe in the press conference?
I don't know about only, but they're one of the few teams that has.
Oh, you're saying Clubhouse,
which is where every player interview is. Yeah.
Yeah, true. Granted, you still do you get the starter and Cora in the press room?
The starter rarely. Starter's usually at that.
Okay, because there's been a couple crochet ones.
Basis, but usually it's Cora only in the interview room, and then we make like salmon and try to swim against the fans leaving as we try to get to the clubhouse and get the players in there.
So is it a rights thing with Nesson that they want to be the exclusive provider of clubhouse video?
I don't know what it is.
I think some of it is. There have been instances where guys are coming out of the shower with the towel around, and that stuff's going out online. And, presumably we could make those sort of decisions about what's proper and what isn't, but they are sticking to that policy as far as I know.
That would be massive if they allow that, then to your point, Cotillo, it's now not just you guys tweeting out words, but seeing the inflection, seeing how they say it. That would go a long way.
And it helped, you get criticized for where you clip a quote. You get criticized for the quote you decide to use, and we're firing them off, in 1 second in the press conference room, because that's what the audience demands. And again, that's one of those things where I look after a certain day, I'm like, holy shit, why do I have, 800 mentions, people criticize it? Nesson caught the whole answer, and I put 3/4 of the answer, and people are saying I'm taking it out of context, whatever it is.
And you also got to put that up immediately. I've always been impressed with you have to hear it. You basically transcribe in real time. I mean, you got to hear it, try to put it out word for word. In your brain, there's going to be a couple words that are a little different than what was actually said.
Hopefully, and then they're not important words.
Yeah, no, sometimes they are. And then obviously we get the benefit of I just watched the run back, and I can, sip through really slowly, and you messed up, Cotillo. So I do respect that part of the job. I think people don't really think about that with the reporters. It's you got to be a transcriber in real time and get it out amongst 8 other people that are also trying to get that quote out. So that's not easy.
No, it's not. It's not at all. Do you guys enjoy doing what you do still?
I'll let Sean answer that in year. What is it? 30
coming up on 39.
Damn.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, the drudgery sometimes of the season. I find it travels harder than it was when I started. Just more obstacles, more things that are in your way. And thankfully, I'm in a position now where I can sort of choose my travel and go on trips where I want to go and not go to places or at times that I don't. For the most part, both Chris Cotillo and Chris Smith travel more than I do during the season. Spring training is long. It's nice to be in warm weather in February and March, but there's a drudgery to that. But yeah, in general, I still like what I'm doing. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. I'm old enough that I don't have to anymore. If I don't want to, or if I don't enjoy it, there are challenges still. But in general, I still like the job. I still look forward to it.
Chris, you just like the ice cream machine.
Yeah, I cut back on that too. I think you were making the point about every time you go on the field, kind of like a holy shit moment. I still feel that going to Fenway. I'm not, I think one of the things about me that is weird looking back is when I was in second grade, I won a Red Sox biggest fan contest. You must not have entered, Jared, because I feel like you cleaned that shit up back then. But it was B&M baked beans. And my mom wrote an essay about how she took me on a tour of Fenway when I was 2 or 3. And I refused to go in the visiting dugout because I didn't want to get Yankees germs on me. So she wrote that, as like an essay for this contest. We won a luxury box for 20 people at like a Red Sox Yankees Sunday night game in 2003. So I was literally like won a Red Sox biggest fan contest. So to be 20 years later, not caring if they win or lose, but kind of caring like, am I going to get a good story today? Or like, it's a bizarre reality. My dad used to say when I was a kid and we'd go to like, a game a month, if you went to Fenway every day, like it wouldn't be fun. And he's kind of right. I mean, not really. I mean, I love it, but it does. There's times where it does become a job and like, I'm out somewhere doing something and, oh shit, they just made a big signing. Like, all right, well, I got to go home and write this, or I got to go do a pod. And like, that's just unavoidable. You got to kind of, brace yourself for that.
I think a lot of jobs are like that, where you're never, in particularly in the workforce today, very few people are 9 to 5 where you completely shut it down when you leave and you have no responsibilities until the next morning. You're always on call. You're always aware that something could happen that is going to take you away from, a party or a family gathering or something you have planned. And that's just the price of doing business.
But I mean, that unpredictability can get annoying sometimes, but I like that. And I've
never worked a 9 to 5 job really in my life. For the most part. And like that would be drudgery to me, commuting, getting your coffee at the same place on your way into the office, like that old fashioned work model I've never done. So when people say like, oh, you're getting home at 12:30 or 1 o'clock and you're getting up for a 6 o'clock flight and you're doing that, like, there are challenges to that, but there would be challenges to me sitting in traffic on the Southeast Expressway and, doing the 9 to 5 gig.
I'll put it like in this way. In June, the team was about to go on that long West Coast trip that's now famous. Smith was going to Seattle. Sean was going to San Francisco and Anaheim.
Yeah.
I was not going on the trip at all. And so I covered like that weekend series against the Yankees, the Sunday game I did by myself because they were getting ready to go on the West Coast. I had 10 days not off, but I was not going to be with the team, maybe go to Worcester, write some features, kind of low key, lazy, whatever. And I had just done probably, 7 days in a row doing games. I wrote a lot post game that Sunday. And I walked down to Yard House and had a fiddlehead and a flatbread. Can't beat it. And I get toward the end of the beer and I see the Robert Murray tweet that Devers is going to the Giants. And in the moment, it's like, you got to be fucking kidding me. Like, I have no emotional reaction to the actual trade. I mean, I understand obviously why it was happening. I was shocked. But to me, it's like, close out the bill, don't eat. I ran back inside Fenway to see if Rappy was still there, get absolutely screamed out in ways a human being should not by a security guard who knew exactly what I was trying to do. And then, that night goes from, it was Father's Day. Sean was at home with the kids, like, hanging out. And it goes from, what was that, 5 p.m.? Okay, we're going to be working nonstop till 2. The next day I was going to go, get lunch with my mom or something. And I'm on a plane to San Francisco. And like in the moment, that's like, I can't believe this. And this is a drag. When you look back at it, like, 6 months later, whatever it is, like, it's a really cool opportunity that massive moment in Red Sox history that so many people care about, I got to have the front row seat for. Like, I was at Fenway as his car was pulling up and whatever. Missed him because not that good at my job, but whatever. And then the next day for his intro press conference in San Francisco, like, we're tremendously lucky to have the opportunity to do that, even if, like, I can't believe I'm in the air for 6 hours right now on what was supposed to be a slow week. But when you look back at it now and like, wow, that was really cool. And I think, the days are long, and especially, we can think back to 2019. Red Sox are out of it. Jared, you were all over this that night and texting me asking if it was legit. The Red Sox are out of it. I'm trying to watch the Pats and the Steelers on my iPad. They just signed Antonio Brown, which at the time seemed okay. Now, not as much. And the game ends. We go down for this quick and easy Cora. Yeah, we suck tonight, whatever. They fired Dombrowski, and I'm now going home at 5 a.m. That absolutely blows. But when you look back at it, it's like, that was a really memorable moment and an important moment for the franchise and the fan base. And like, we're tremendously lucky to be able to document that over time, obviously.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, you were big things happening behind the scenes.
Yeah. Scoop Shop goes back many, many years. The last thing I wanted to ask before I let you guys go, and Chris did an awesome job of prepping Sean on this by not telling him the question at all. I did tell Sean before we hit the record button, so he's had about an hour and change to think about it. I want to know your top 5 concerts that you've been to. I am not allowing you to choose a Bruce Springsteen concert, and I do want the years in which you attended. So it's not, I don't want just, the artist. I need the year. Also would love the venue, because I'm sure, you're well traveled enough. I'm sure you've seen concerts on the road as well. So if you could recall artist, year, venue, top 5.
All right. I don't know if you guys know this or not. I've talked about it in the past. It is my claim to fame, other than whatever sort of professional achievements I've had. But September 10th, 1964, Boston Garden, the Beatles.
The Beatles in 64.
That is my mic drop moment. When you're sitting around at a party and this question comes up, what's the best show you've ever seen? Very few people can match that. And I realize I'm tremendously fortunate to have had parents who, when I was age 5, made the effort to get tickets for that show and took me and my then, I think, like 10 or 11-year-old cousin to see the Beatles at the Garden on their first U.S. tour, September 10th. I have the exact date, 1964.
Wow. That's number 5?
No, that's number 1.
Yeah. Okay.
I thought that was Jesus. 5. I was like, what's about that? I saw 4? Jesus Christ at MSG.
Yeah. So I saw Hendrix at Woodstock.
There was the time I was at Graceland with Elvis, and he did a private show for me. In the Jungle Room. I would say number 2 would be, and I believe this was either 80 or 81 at Harvard Stadium in Cambridge, Bob Marley.
Wow.
Okay.
That's another one that not a lot of people can lay claim to, and a fantastic experience.
Sean was high until 83 after that.
Number 3, I would have Stevie Wonder at the Opera House in Boston in 1983. The reason I remember it's 1983 is listening to that Baltimore-Philly World Series on the way to the show, so that's how I can recall that. Mm-hmm. Stevie Wonder with like an expansive overview of his career for like 2.5 hours in a 2,000-seat theater. Just fabulous. Number 4 would be September, I believe, of 1978. Neil Young and Crazy Horse on the Rust Never Sleeps tour at the Garden. And number 5, this would have been around the late 90s. I don't have the exact year. I'd have to look it up. But Brian Wilson performing Pet Sounds at Symphony Hall.
Okay.
Those would be top 5.
Like we're going to have to do a follow-up, because I can't even imagine like what's left off the list. Like, have you seen like Fleetwood Mac?
Oh, multiple times. Yes.
Okay. Have you seen, did you see Pink Floyd?
Here, Jared, we could do it would be shorter to say the people I didn't see. I mean, there are very, very, very few people from the, let's say the British invasion, kind of early to mid 60s on, that I wanted to see and didn't. I was never a Deadhead, so I never saw the Dead. I never saw Hendrix. I was too young for that. My parents weren't that progressive. They did get me to the Beatles, but they didn't take me to psychedelic ballrooms to see Jimi Hendrix in 1969.
My dad has the same story. He's like, my parents wouldn't let me.
Yeah. But there are I've seen the Stones multiple times. Also Zeppelin, never saw Zeppelin. That's probably one that I wish I had. I'm not a huge Zeppelin fan, but I appreciate their impact and like them. So that would have been on the bucket list.
You see Robert Plant as a solo artist?
Several times. Great shows. Great shows. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Once with trying to remember, Patty Griffin, another time with Alison Krauss. I think I've seen Plant 2 or 3 times.
Did you see Pink Floyd?
Didn't see the band, saw a solo Roger Waters wall show.
But never Gilmore.
No.
Buddy.
An impressive list.
Yeah, I've told people that story of your encounter on the streets in London. I did. Yeah, given your sweatshirt, you'll be happy to know that on my Christmas list was the Blu-ray of Wish You Were Here with the live show that I want to hear.
Awesome.
I'm not a huge Floyd fan. I love Dark Side and I love Wish You Were Here. But my fandom kind of drops off after those two. I'm not super big on The Wall or Animals or some of the other stuff or the early Sid stuff, but I love Dark Side and Wish You Were Here.
Yeah, the Sid stuff is a different brand.
Interject with a Sean music thought because I'm not, nearly anywhere in that realm. A few years ago, we were going to Portland and driving up to talk to Meyer, Teal, and Anthony. It's probably 2 or 3 seasons ago.
Yeah, original idea.
And on the way home, so Sean is weirdly like Mad Dog Russo's music guy in addition to like the Red Sox. So he like calls him for like big music.
I am the dead rock star expert that he has on when people...
Which is, people don't really know at all. So Tina Turner, right? That day, Sean? Okay, so Tina Turner died. Like, of course I know who it is, but not too much. Not at like Milliken levels of not knowing things, but I had a general understanding. So Sean does the hit with Russo driving. I'm in the passenger seat, and Sean goes for like 25 minutes with every single detail about Tina Turner's life and her whole, upbringing and her whole career and all the strife and all this shit. And he hangs out with, why the fuck do you cover baseball? Seriously.
A lot of people have asked me over the years.
I was like stunned. I mean, I knew you have obviously the knowledge in the encyclopedia, but like just on the day she died, I mean, I don't think you were sitting there researching it. Hadlock, like you go talk to Teal, I'm going to hit Wikipedia hard. I don't think it was that, but I was like, holy shit.
You see the Doors?
No, that was a little, and I'm not a big Doors fan at all. I'm with Lester Bangs in Almost Famous, who described them as drunken buffoons masquerading as poets. I'm not a big Doors fan.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the Fenway concerts? Like, I'm assuming you've seen a couple of those. I mean, I saw Chris Brown this past summer. I can't think that floats your boat.
I saw the Stones. I saw the Who last summer. I've probably seen 4 or 5 shows. Fenway is not a great concert venue. No. I'd almost rather, obviously it's always better to see bands in smaller halls. But I would almost rather see somebody at Gillette than I would at Fenway because Gillette is at least kind of a bigger arena, right? It's that oval shape and you know where you are in the stage and all that. Fenway, unless you're on the field in the first 3 sections there, you're a mile and a half from the stage. And there's just
an awkward distance. The sound travels weird too. Like it doesn't.
It's not great. Not a great experience.
And when they're having concerts there, the team's on the road, which means they probably are, which kind of limits it.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Wi-Fi sucks for the concert. So like I'm watching like the fucking Foo Fighters and the Red Sox playing the Dodgers at the same time with spotty Wi-Fi. It sucks.
Yeah, leaving early.
It's the online only Wi-Fi.
Yeah, online only problems. Online only problems. Sean McAdam, Chris Cotillo, Mass Live Fenway Rundown is the show that they do together. This was a lot of fun, long overdue. We should have done it much sooner.
We pushed through. We persevered through some real technical difficulties.
Yes.
I'm proud of us.
Yes. Through an act of God, we pushed through.
Watchable, but
yeah.
We got all Venmo Jake for getting this all together. After.
10-hour edit coming up for Jake.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Thank you guys. We'll see you guys. We'll see you next time.
Feliz Navidad.
Buenas noches, amigos.